Sure. Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was alive. The president never gave me any deadline.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Morning. This is Global Television. I'm Uyag Mofwegwe. We're back from the weekend, just so you know, and as always, we are pleased to know that you're joining us on the program. Today, first working day of the week for those who hate their Mondays. We're going to give you a reason to love it in the course of the show this morning. Someone who has been MIA, that has been in action for a while. He's back on the show. Don't ask me where she's staying. Don't ask me what she's been up to. She's an adult. She will speak for herself.
Why am I okay? First of all, good morning to each and every one of you. It's great to be back on Global Morning. It's great to be on the program, sitting side by side with my amazing colleague Uyagbo Mofwegbe, which you have already introduced yourself. Well, I am Jubai Manson, and it's great to be here. I have been MIA. Missing in action.
Well, you have to be one more panel. So looking at the remote and the immediate reasons. But before we go academic, just to say it's good to have you back.
It's great to be back on the program, really. It is great to be back. It just shows that we have a boss who is focused. We have a boss who is dedicated, who believes in doing the right thing. So paying attention, that's the kind of boss. No other person. Shouting out to our amazing boss, the MD, Dr. Ibrahim Bio. He is an amazing boss and who believes in doing the right thing. He believes in professionalism, which is key, and it's good. It is an amazing role model.
I think that's a smart way to actually put it, and we are happy that the team is back. You've seen Anthony Owodo as well, who also is as guilty as charged in terms of being MIA.
Yes, exactly.
Him in the course of the week, multiple times every week on the program. As well, they say the more the merrier.
The more the merrier.
And that's what
variety is the spice of life, they say.
Right. So it's a great Monday. So several things to talk about today. Issues across the world. There's charity, they say, begins at home.
Yes, it
last
does.
week was very, full of big stories. No doubt about that. Even though we know the father of the country, President Bola Tinubu, is at this point in Saudi Arabia to attend the Arab summit that focuses on issues, particularly within the Middle East. Now, again, looking at the fact that there's conflicts in that region.
Very true.
And, one rap artist once said in the 90s that the world is not likely going to know peace until there is peace in the Middle East.
Very true.
Right. That's very key. We can debate it all night and all day, but the point is that there has to be peace restored to the Middle East. And we also talk about finding peace between Russia and Ukraine and every other part of the world where we have conflicts.
Yeah, I'm very funny enough, just to mention and just to add to what you just said, there's no peace till there is peace in the Middle East. There's a disconnection. They're all connected within that whole terrain. So if it affects one, it affects all. So it's better we try and curb it out and know which way forward, which is very important.
Right, it is. But back at home, there are also issues we need to deal with. There's a new terror cell now in Kebbi State. We hear they're domiciled, and they also have their extension, their presence, so to speak, established in Sokoto as well. And these are two very key states in the northwest of the country. Sometimes I almost bite my tongue or I have my head spinning to even pronounce their name. Lukarawa, I think that's their name. And some people, on the one hand, say that this terror cell is a new one. But I spoke with Dr. Ahmed Yahuza last week, Friday it was, and he told me, said there's nothing new about them, that they've always been there, unless you're saying they reinvented themselves.
Exactly.
Or there's an angle to their operations that is new. Otherwise, the group itself is not new. That's the defense authorities have always known that they're there, and so on and so forth. But we're hearing some good news now. There's some victory being recorded against them, even though they tried to pull off a few stunts here and there, killing people, attacking villages, rustling cattle, as is always their practice. But over time, we're sure that Nigerian military is more than equipped to deal with this nasty menace that is trying to rear its head in this country. We can't continue to have a country where people can go to bed with two eyes closed.
Well, it's just unfortunate. But funny enough, this is where we have found ourselves. It's just unfortunate that well, we pray that the military are up their game, which we know that insecurity, by the grace of God, will be a thing of the past really, really soon. It's not as worse as it was back in the days. Just now we hear a few stories here and there when it has to do with kidnapping, herders, and which is bad all the same. But we hope it's going to be nipped in the bud pretty soon and really soon, very importantly.
Just also let our viewers know that we have newspaper headlines for you this morning, on Monday. So you rest assured that the papers are loaded with big headlines today. And then we also have the news, that is the air news at top of the hour. Just to also mention that one of the things this week will be characterized by is the handover ceremony in Edo State. You see, it's an interesting...
Yes, it is.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks.
Very true.
In less than 24 hours, it will be the official handover ceremony in Edo.
Yes.
Meanwhile, in about 5 days, it will be a governorship election in Ondo.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Where we have Kekelemo Okere, our own reporter, right there on the ground. You see, one person is about to leave office, another person fighting tooth and nail to come into office through the ballots and all of that. So it just means that circumstances are dynamic for everybody. But let's focus on Edo State for a minute. There's this not very pleasant development that's coming out of the states, more like back and forth between the outgoing governor, Governor Obaseki, and the incoming state chief executive, talking about Senator Monday Okpebholo, about who is doing what regarding the handover committee, the inauguration committee, and so on and so forth. It appears these politicians do not understand very well that it is about the people. Yes, because if you understood it's about the people, there won't be back and forth about Obaseki, about Okpebholo.
Exactly.
Obaseki, by this time tomorrow, would have done 8 years in office, right? Because the man got into office on the 12th of November 2016. So by tomorrow, he would have done 8 years. His 2 tenures would have circled out. At that point in time, all eyes will be on Senator Monday Okpebholo.
Very true.
Now, what he's going to do with his first 4 years in office, and hopefully he gets another 4 years, depending on what I do people who want at that time. But attention is drastically going to shift away from Obaseki to Okpebholo. So why don't we look at what exactly has the man who is going out achieved, and how can we improve on that? And for those who are having a conversation about the EFCC is coming after him, they're not coming after him, why don't you allow the EFCC to make that call?
Exactly.
I mean, we don't work for the EFCC. If they have intel on him, if they have basis to want to invite him, to want to take him into custody, to want to investigate him, I mean, by tomorrow, his immunity would have been stripped of him. So they can take him into custody. I mean, we understand the immediate past governor of Delta State now, Senator Arthur Ifeanyi Okowa. He's with the EFCC.
Yes, he is.
There's a chance he will be arraigned in courts this week, for example. But the authorities are doing their bits. So why don't we allow governance become the focus? What do we do to improve roads in Edo State? What do we do to put food on people's tables?
Exactly.
What do we do about job creation?
Exactly.
The economy.
Exactly.
IPR. Those are the things we should be talking about. Education, health. Not who is going to take who is going where, who's spending $5 billion.
Exactly. Like you mentioned, you said something very dynamic. You said these politicians do not understand that this centers around the people. The way forward in Edo State, a lot of things that need to be implemented in Edo State. And let's just allow the necessary authorities to do their bit when it comes to EFCC, when it comes to arraignment, when it comes to strip, for whatever charges he's been held with, whatever it is. But let's just focus on what is going to happen, which is, by the grace of God, tomorrow the handing over officially to Monday Okpebholo. And let's move forward. Let's move on Edo State forward. There's a lot of issues when it comes to infrastructure in Edo, the educational system, job creation, like you mentioned, a lot of issues. So let's just put our focus on that and let these politicians understand you're in this position because of the people. It's to drive the people and, of course, the state forward for betterment. I think when we understand that and we just sit back and know that, okay, it's not about me, it's not about your family, it's not about whatever it is, it's about the people in which you represent. You are the mouthpiece. I think we'll all move forward.
Exactly. But again, we need a bit of patriotism to be able to do that. We need love, genuine love for the people. So we look forward to seeing what happens tomorrow. Of course, Global TV will bring you all the details as it unfolds regarding this handover ceremony tomorrow. Let's take a quick break, everyone. When we return, Joe and I will walk you right through Nigeria national dailies.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. This is Imo State, southeast of Nigeria. As the wind of transformation blows across the eastern heartland, Imolites bask in the excitement of landmark developmental strides, cutting across health, education, infrastructure, economy, and job creation. Imo State in Focus brings you all the highlights of Governor Hope Uzodinma-led administration's impact on the lives of the good people of Imo State. Imo State in Focus, Sunday at 10:30 p.m. West African time on Global Television. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. This is Imo State, southeast of Nigeria. As the wind of transformation blows across the eastern heartland, Imolites bask in the excitement of landmark developmental strides, cutting across health, education, infrastructure, economy, and job creation. Imo State in Focus brings you all the highlights of Governor Hope Uzodinma-led administration's impact on the lives of the good people of Imo State. Imo State in Focus, Sunday at 10:30 p.m. West African time on Global Television. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns, and curves. This is business.
You're welcome back, and it's Global Morning, and this is the newspaper review segment, and we will be starting with the first paper, which is the Nigerian News Direct. That's the first paper in which we'll be looking at this morning. And above the nameplate of the Nigerian News Direct, we have Vandals strike again, destroying Lokoja transmission line. And then next to it says liquidation, dividend, NDIC to auction landed properties, chattels of Heritage Bank. And you can find that on page 7. Now on page 21 it says Rivers political crisis is God's will for emancipation. That's Governor Fubara. And you can read more on that story on page 21. Article constant crypts of Tinubu's fueled by election defeat, and that's the presidency. And you can find that story on page 5. Now below the nameplate of the Nigerian News Direct, we have governors endangering perception of judiciary by giving cars, houses to judges. Now Serap tells Tinubu, and that's the words of the Attorney General of the Federation, and you can find that on page 6. Now below all of that we have basically that's all on the paper. Nigerian News Direct. Just go out and get yourself a copy and be well informed on news making round. Next we have
Nation newspaper.
Go ahead.
Let's begin with the big story on the front page of it. It reads how tax reform bills will boost revenue for tiers of government by a panel. And it comes with two riders. The first one says payments consolidated, the reach to pay more. That's how it is proposed. And then there is a third rider, actually. VAT favors states, councils. But again, those bills are now seen by many as being controversial. Let's raise the notch higher. It says Discos insists consumers must pay for meters replacements. The rider tells us firms snub FCCPC NERC. Above the name mast top left corner, vandals disrupt bulk power run. Another transmission line we hear is the one between Lokoja and Gwagwalada, so that must be a very critical facility. All right. Next, it says stock exchange tightens rules on shares buyback. The writer says shareholders must consent. And then top right corner, just above the nameplate, Fubara. I will still work with Okojumbo-led assembly. Kwankwaso's meeting with OT signals 2027 alliance talks. You find all of those details when you pick up a copy of the Nation newspaper today. But let's bring it down a little. Here, on the left corner of the paper, save us from terror group Lukarawas, Kebbi State begs CDS. That is Kebbi State appealing to the Chief of Defense Staff there. One writer accompanies that headline. It says Chief of Army Staff in Sokoto, because we understand this new terror cell, as it's referred to, Lukarawas, basically is domiciled in Kebbi and Sokoto states north west of Nigeria. And then at the foot of the paper this morning, which is the Nation newspaper, it says, why Okpebolo pulled out of joint transition team with Obaseki government. Of course, we've heard the governor, the outgoing governor, now talk about how that he has not been invited to the inauguration, even at the state governor. Others are saying, well, the outgoing government is supposed to even midwife the transition process. But that's more of a political debate as it stands right now.
Yes, it is.
But here there's a focus too on Ondo 2024. That's immediately beneath the name masts of the Nation newspaper, today's edition. Ondo 2024, Gandhi J. Jimo Ibrahim solicits support for Aile Datiwa. IG warns against political interference, violence, 6,000 NSCDC personnel for election duties. Police announce traffic diversion in Akure. That's apparently the state's capital. Those are the big headlines from today's edition of the Nation newspaper. Let's flip over now to the Vanguard.
All right, now the Vanguard newspaper, above the nameplate of the Vanguard, it says here, in the words of Dewey, it's a rare privilege to be Bayelsa governor. And one of the writers there says, Institute's Ernest Okoli annual lecture. And here it says Obi can become president in 2027, will prepare very well. And that's Tanko saying that now, and you can get that on page 3 of the Vanguard newspaper. Next, on page 7 on the Vanguard says hunger, children scavenge for leftovers at parties, prayer houses. Unfortunate incident there, but of course we know what the harsh economy is talking about. So some children, underprivileged kids, will have to go and scavenge.
The headline like this without even reading the details,
and you just know
bumps
exactly,
because I mean, you can imagine how tough it is for many families, right?
A lot of families. You know, I watched a clip yesterday. Some individuals are just walking on the street, and then some children will just go around trying to pickpocket, take their things, and run away. And we're like, God, let's not get to this point in Nigeria. God forbid, with the issues ongoing, but God forbid. And we just pray that there's a solution to all of this pretty soon. And of course, below the nameplate of the Vanguard, it says here, petrol banks loan for imports to hit 3.5 trillion naira. And we have a lot of riders there, and it says marketers set to increase importation, pump price higher than actual cost. NLC alleges, claims Nigerians are being ripped off by marketers at $72 per barrel of oil imported. Petrol should be cheaper in Nigeria, and that's experts saying that. And another writer says Ipman flaunts NLC says fully deregulated, why marketers prefer importation. And it says federal government is supporting marketers' move. And it says Dangote Refinery has commercialized terms impute, and that's experts there. And below all of that, we have minimum wage. NLC directs workers in defaulting states to begin strike December 1st. Hope it doesn't get to that point, and hope defaulting states will do the needful. And beside that, it says grid collapse. Are we surprised? It says certain elements sabotaging power sector reforms, Adilabu. And you can find that read on page 18 of the Vanguard. And Obaseki Okpebolo differ over non-invitation for inauguration, alleged 5 billion naira budget. And you can find more of that read on page 12 of the Vanguard. And below the foot of the newspaper, it says demolition. We won't succumb to blackmail, and that's in the voice of the FCT minister, another person than Yesowike. And here it says, why am I smiling? Because we know that he's going to nip this in the bud, definitely. Now, Bode George, to someone Lagos traders harass, flogged like criminals. And it says, now this is sports now on page 39. It says CAF Women's dominant Edo Queens, top group B, and basically that is all on the Vanguard. Please go out and get yourself a copy and read more and be enlightened on the news making rounds. And the next paper is the Leadership.
Yes, and it's port of call. We'll begin with the headlines above the name asked for you. Top left corner with a picture of Joe Ajero, president of the Nigerian Labour Congress. It says NLC to embark on strike over new minimum wage December 1. Juma just said a while ago, she didn't get to that. Ondo, stay clear of election duties. IGP warns Amotekun. What's more, we take it down a little now. It says, first here, fact check. Why did Okupe say Atiku or Obi couldn't have done better than Tinubu? Well, you can read it up on the Leadership newspaper today. All right, 15 die in Funchua Sokoto road crash. Such a sad story.
Very sad.
And then what more do we have here? High costs. Travelers dump local agents, buy foreign tickets outside Nigeria. I mean, these are part of cost-costing measure. If you know it's going to be cheaper for you, I mean, you're flying to Europe or US or the Middle East, for example,
exactly.
or to Asia. You know it's going to be cheaper to buy tickets, maybe in Benin Republic or Ghana or South Africa. I mean, you have to look at the alternatives.
Exactly.
Put all the options on the table and see which one serves you best. And then ultimately you're able to cut costs and still get
and go for it.
Value. All right. Few judges giving judiciary bad name. That's the CJN KKV speaking. Wipe out Lakurawa now, northern leaders tell military. Wipe out Lakurawa now, northern leaders tell military. All eyes are on the military in this regard. But then we have two riders following that headline. Say terrorists sacking security agents, local vigilantes. Troops pound bandits in Kebbi, Zamfara. Then the right side corner of the paper this morning says demolition. Traders sue Lagos, demand 3.4 billion naira damages. 2 killed in a Boeing boundary disputes. NDLEA smashes cross-border drugs syndicates. The spokesperson for the agency, Mr. Femi Lubafemi, did post a video on LinkedIn just this weekend talking about narco trend and how these syndicates got busted. Stop undermining Tinubu, presidency tells Atiku. Okay, obviously Atiku is one of the leaders of the opposition parties in the country, so he would always speak out about some of these issues. But then let's flip over now to the Daily Times, and Juma has those big headlines for us.
Yeah, of course, now in the Daily Times, above the nameplate of the Daily Times, it says here, 2025 budget, why presentation to NAS might delay till December. Now below the nameplate it says presidency, Atiku envious of Tinubu's position, misunderstands Nigerians' current realities, and you can get that read on page 2. And we have one rider there, and it says ex-VP has shown more interest in undermining president than in addressing his party's internal crisis. And below all of that, we have NLC demands swift government action on economic hardship, fuel pricing, and we can get that read on page 8. Nigeria's fiscal deficit surges to 7.6% of GDP, exceeding target. And you can find that read more on page 8 of the Daily Times. Sanwo-Olu calls for collaboration to make Lagos Africa's powerhouse. And when you flip over to page 8 of the Daily Times, you find more on that story. Now it says here below all of that, it says support army to secure Nigerians' territory. AG
Kowas urges Sokoto community. And the writer says, as Kebbi government sends delegation to CDS over new terror group Lakurawa. Unfortunately there, and it's scary at the same time. This Lakurawa, I think it's a new insurgent group that has cropped up, and they're causing havoc, especially in Sokoto State. What is going on? We're not
in hell for many families.
We're not done with Boko Haram. We're not done with the ISWAP bandits, kidnappers,
illicit,
really,
illegal mining.
Illegal mining, really. Gosh, I hope the military would nip this in the bud as soon as possible. And below the foot of the Daily Times, it says NAV neutralizes scores of terrorists in Kebbi, Zamfara. A sigh of hope there, right?
Yes, it is.
And the next we'll be looking at The Guardian, and will you be guiding us through The Guardian newspaper?
Okay, let me seize that privilege quickly to start with the big story on the front page. It says, a delayed 2025-2027 MTEF threatens budget cycle. This apparent reference to the medium-term expenditure framework, also called MTEF. It says delayed 2025 to 2027 MTEF threatens budget cycle. I'll find all of those details on page 6. It has pictures of several other people who have a handle, or if you like, responsibility in this regard. You have the President, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, as well as Minister of Budget and National Planning, former Kebbi State Governor Bagudu. All of them with their pictures there. Let's move on to other headlines real quick. 2027, Jonathan Obi Kwankwaso's names resound as political Jocelyn intensifies. Again, former President Jonathan is coming back to the fore. We saw that happen in 2023, but the man said he was not going to run. Stop Wike governors from giving cars, houses to judges, Serap tells Tinubu. Arewa groups, Huriwa Sani nudge North to accept Tinubu's tax reform. NLC threatens strike December 1, demands wage review over worsening hardship. Stranded oil wells, old facilities store 2.5 million barrels per day oil production. And then we have a headline at the foot of the paper, that is The Guardian this morning. Experts underscore employees' mental health amid rising workplace depression. Is the reason we should create toxic workplaces.
Exactly.
It's a health matter, even though we don't seem to be having that conversation across our workplaces in this country just yet, even our families. Mental health is as important as any other form of health.
Really?
Don't downplay one form.
Really?
We need to take our mental health very seriously. All right. What else? The last paper for today, Juma has those headlines from the Daily Trust.
And of course, the Daily Trust, and below the nameplate of the Daily Trust, the big star story there says Siemens hit 8,000 naira as cost of building materials skyrockets. I mean, when it was 3,000 at a point, everybody was complaining. Now it's 8,800 naira.
Far more than double.
Far more than double. So hope those that want to build houses will still be geared to build houses. And we have 3 riders there, and it says iron and jumps from 8,000 naira to 1.6 million naira in 1 year. Situation dashing our hope of owning houses, which is true, and citizens, that's the masses complaining there. Experts blame naira depreciation, transportation costs. And above that, we have rescue our children, parents of Zamfara students in Cyprus beg governor. Protest trails demolition of Ruga. Wike invites victims. Well, that's a start in the right direction. Karu to Kano governor. Don't please Kwakwaso at expense of masses. And below all of that, we have vandals destroy Lokoja Gwagalada transmission line. Unfortunate incident there, because this can cause a lot of disruption when it comes to cost of living. Nigerians win elections in US, Australia, and you can find that read on page 13 of the Daily Trust. And Edo governorship ICPC to probe INEC officials over infractions. And below the foot of the Daily Trust, it says ACF urges actions of Lukarawa kills 15 in Kebbi, and we have 2 riders there. And it says Governor Idris sends delegation to NSA on that, and it says we have 3 riders, sorry, and it says terrorists may soon overtake Argungun Emirates. AG Kowas visits Sokoto, seeks residents' support. And of course, we need the residents' support in order to curb and nip this in the bud. It's very important. Really, we need that collaboration from citizens to come out. But some will be very scared to come out because it relates to them and, of course, that particular state. But we hope the needful is done, and we hope all of this will be brought to a download really, really soon. And that's it on the newspaper review. Of course, this is the part A of the newspaper review. We have the AM news coming right up. Do not go anywhere. Global Morning continues shortly. Stay tuned.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. This is Imo State, southeast of Nigeria. As the wind of transformation blows across the eastern heartland, Imolites bask in the excitement of landmark developmental strides, cutting across health, education, infrastructure, economy, and job creation. Imo State in Focus brings you all the highlights of Governor Hope Uzodinma-led administration's impact on the lives of the good people of Imo State. Imo State in Focus, Sunday at 10:30 p.m. West African time on Global Television. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. This is Imo State, southeast of Nigeria. As the wind of transformation blows across the eastern heartland, Imolites bask in the excitement of landmark developmental strides, cutting across health, education, infrastructure, economy, and job creation. Imo State in Focus brings you all the highlights of Governor Hope Uzodinma-led administration's impact on the lives of the good people of Imo State. Imo State in Focus, Sunday at 10:30 p.m. West African time on Global Television.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nicomsat. Now the news in full. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu arrived in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia to attend the Joint Arab-Islamic Summit. The president touched down at King Abdulaziz International Airport, where he was welcomed by the Deputy Governor of Riyadh Region, Prince Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Abdulaziz. The summit, convened by the King Salman and King Prince Mohammed bin Salman, will focus on key issues affecting the Middle East, particularly the ongoing Israel-Palestinian conflict. Still on, President Bola Tinubu has appealed to Nigerian graduates to exercise patriotism and avoid the temptation of seeking greener pastures outside the country. The president made the appeal in his address at the 29th and 30th combined convocation ceremony of the University of Uyo, held at the institution's permanent ground, Uyo Akwa Ibom. Tinubu, who was represented by the Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Owunari George Will, charged the graduates to be agents of change by utilizing their knowledge and tools in solving societal issues for betterment of the country and the world at large. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SIRAP, has urged President Bola Tinubu to stop the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and Nigeria's 36 governors from upserding the authority and responsibilities of the National Judicial Council and heads of courts through giving of cars and houses to judges. The organization says it believes such actions likely indicate that the judiciary is becoming submissive to the executive arm of government. SIRAP's Deputy Director, Kolawale Oluwadare, statesmen also urged the President to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, to challenge in court the constitutionality and legality of the practice of members of the executives giving cars and houses to judges in Abuja and across the states. Now, members of the National Assembly are currently divided over the controversial tax reform bills introduced by President Bola Tinubu-led administration. The president had on September 3rd transmitted 4 tax reform bills to National Assembly for consideration. The reforms stemmed from the recommendation of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal and Tax Reforms, headed by Taiwo Oyedele, for the review of existing tax. The bills are the Nigerian Tax Bill 2024, which is expected to provide the fiscal framework for taxation in the country, and the Tax Administration Bill, which will provide a clear and concise legal framework for all taxes in the country and reduce disputes. Disclosing that about 260 civilians have been killed in the conflict since October 20th, the envoy warned that the war could escalate to neighboring countries if not taken seriously. The war, which started in April 2023 following a power struggle between the Sudanese armed forces and the army's former paramilitary allies, escalated on October 20th after the RSF area's key commander was reported to have defeated 2 government forces. It began when tensions between RSF and the army jostling for position ahead of an internationally backed transition to civil rule erupt in open conflict. Over now to Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has announced that he would present the state's 2025 budget to Victor Okojumbo-led State House of Assembly. Fubara made this statement at the official commissioning of 2 ultra-modern community town halls and the launch of a tertiary scholarship and empowerment program by the Speaker of Akwama and Agai communities in Bonny local government area of Rivers State. This was contained in a statement issued in Port Harcourt by the governor's chief press secretary, Nelson Chukudi. The governor made that the state's governments will continue to collaborate with the assembly to improve the lives of Rivers residents, highlighting the positive relationship between the executive and legislative branches as demonstrated in the screening of nominees and the prompt passage of executive bills. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has foiled attempt to smuggle illicit drugs to the UK, discovering them hidden in parcels of tiger nuts and bags of granules. The agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, while sharing videos on X.com, also warned against accepting packages without thoroughly checking their contents. Edo Governor-elect Monday Okpebholo has accused the outgoing Governor Godwin Obaseki of doing everything possible to frustrate a peaceful transition of power ahead of his swearing-in on Tuesday. This was a reaction to Obaseki's earlier statement where he said he is yet to get the invite for the swearing-in ceremony of Okpebholo scheduled for Tuesday. This was disclosed in a statement signed by his media aide, God's Power Inegbe, in Abuja. Obaseki had alleged that the governor-elect and his party, the All Progressive Congress, were planning his inauguration without consulting or involving the state government in the preparations. The governor condemned the planned action, which he said was lawless. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere-Edun, has said that while the judiciary has many upright and courageous judges, a few of them are giving it a bad name. Justice Kekere-Edun, who spoke at a public discussion organized by the Movement for Islamic Culture and Awareness in honor of Justice Habib Aburi's elevation to the Supreme, praised Nigeria's judiciary for its dedication. She noted that ordinary citizens' viewpoints on how well ethics, morality, and law coexist must be considered. Justice Kekere-Edun added that public acceptance of the law also hinge on its alignment with fundamental principles, the need for clarity, stability, and independence of judiciary, as well as the fair exercise of authority of law enforcement. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has banned the Western Nigerian Security Network, condemned Ametokun and Vigilante Corps, among others, from participating on the governorship election. No fewer than 17 political parties will participate in the election slated for November 16, 2024. In a statement released by force spokesman Muyiwa Adejobi, the police chief ordered the deployment of officers from various specialized units, including the Special Intervention Squad, Police Mobile Force, Counter-Terrorism Unit, Special Protection Unit, Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit, and K9 Unit, amongst others. He noted that area protocols would be conducted with police helicopters, while gunboats would patrol the state's waterways and riverine areas to ensure security across all terrains. The Defense Headquarters DHQ says troops deployed for counter-terrorism operations have eliminated a total of 169 terrorists and arrested no fewer than 641 suspects in various theaters of operations. The DHQ stated that 70 of the terrorists were killed in Kwaram, Borno State, by airstrikes. A statement by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Buba Edward, also says several terrorists were dislodged from their hideouts. The operatives of the FCT Police Command have arrested a car theft kingpin in Abuja and recovered exotic cars. A spokesperson for the command, SP Josephine Ada, who made the disclosure, hinted that on October 10, 2024, Philemon Oluwa reported to the Central Police Divisional Headquarters after his vehicle, a Honda Accord 2006 model, ash color with registration number RBC40NW, was stolen. She said Olaluwa's car developed a mechanical fault and a friend recommended that he engage a mechanic from the Akpo Mechanic Village, named Abdulmumin Seidu, currently at large. A tragic road accident claimed the lives of 15 people in Maruwa village along the Funtua-Sokoto highway. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, described the incident as avoidable and preventable, attributing it to poor vehicle maintenance and driver negligence. A statement by the Corps spokesperson Olusegun Ogungbemide says the crash occurred about 11 a.m. when a Toyota Hiace bus loaded with passengers from Kano suffered a tire burst, causing the driver to lose control. The bus collided head-on with a Cinco truck operated by the Dangote Group. The impact led to multiple casualties, primarily among bus passengers. Kogi State Government has stated that it will commence the identification registration for members of the Motorcycle Operators and Tricycle Owners Association of Nigeria. The State Commissioner of Transportation, Atiluku Victor Levy, stated this while addressing newsmen in Lokoja. Levy State journalists that the overriding importance of the exercise is to get an accurate number of members of the union and possibly checkmate infiltration by criminal elements. A number of terrorists were eliminated in a night raid carried out by the Nigerian Air Force NAF. The operation was confirmed by NAF spokesperson Air Commodore Olushola Akimboyiwe, who stated that the air component of Operation FinCEN had launched a series of independent air interdiction missions to assist the armed forces of Nigeria's renewed efforts to eradicate criminal activities in the Northwest. Akimboyiwa stated that the air campaign, doubted Operation Furatra, commenced with a series of targeted night operations within the strongholds of notorious bandits in Zamfara and Kebbi State. The World Health Organization and the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have committed to guiding the development of targeted Mpox vaccine preparedness and deployment plans to ensure the effective use of available doses. The African Center for Disease Control in the statement noted that with anticipated Mpox vaccine deliveries to the African region in the coming months, countries had requested support in identifying and mapping Mpox hotspots based on local epidemiological and planning targeted vaccination strategies to reach populations at risk of Mpox. The Director General of African CDC, Dr. Jean Kasaye, noted the swift action of countries across Africa to roll out targeted Mpox vaccination strategies reflect an extraordinary commitment to protecting those most vulnerable. Achieving this progress within a short window underscores the ambition and resilience of our member states to halt transmission and safeguard at-risk populations. You're watching AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When AM News return, Chad accuses Sudan of aiding rebel forces. Details of this as well as foreign and sports stories coming right after this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is AM News on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. On our business desk, the federal government budget deficit has risen to 7.5% of the country's gross domestic product as of August 2024, reflecting a significant widening of a gap between government revenue and expenditure. A member of the Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy Committee, Mohammed Abdullahi, disclosed this in his personal statement at the 297th committee meeting. This was as a CBN economic report revealed that Nigeria's fiscal deficit surged to 4.53 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2024, up from 3.88 trillion naira in the previous quarter. In simple terms, a fiscal deficit happens when a government spending exceeds its revenue from taxes and other sources. It means the government is spending more money than it's bringing in. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, in partnership with insurance company and international technology firm, has launched a mobile platform designed to minimize passenger delay and ensure compensation from airlines to travelers whenever delays exceed 3 hours. The platform also guarantees passengers protection from any form of maltreatment by airlines. The development was unveiled at a stakeholders meeting held in NCAA Annex Office in Lagos State. The mobile application aims to help passengers locate boarding areas promptly, expedite refunds in case of cancellations, and secure compensations when delays exceed the regulatory time. The Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical is set to begin a fuel export to South Africa, Angola, and Namibia. It is believed that the management of the 650,000 barrel per day capacity refinery is at advanced stages of talks with the countries to start lifting fuel. 4 other African countries, Niger Republic, Chad, Burkina Faso, and Central African Republic, had also with this refinery. Meanwhile, more countries are expected to signify interest in lifting fuel from the refinery in the coming months. On our foreign scene, the former Director General of the National Financial Investigation Agency in Equatorial Guinea, Balsterse Ongoga, has been remanded in Malabo's Black Beach prison. The embattled former anti-graft chief was arrested days ago for allegedly recording over 400 sex tapes involving the wives of prominent figures in the country. This scandal surfaced during a fraud investigation into the 54-year-old economics, resulting in an impromptu search of his home and office by ANEF officials, who reportedly discovered several CDs that revealed his sexual encounters with different married women. And the footage leaked online, causing a media uproar. Equatorial Guinea's President Obang Magumwa also dismissed Ngonga. Gaza's Civil Defense Agency says 30 people, including 13 children, were killed in Israel's strike on 2 houses in the north of the Palestinian territory. Civil Defense said the first strike early Sunday hit a house in Jabalia, northern Gaza, killing at least 25 people, including 13 children, and injuring more than 30. Since October 6, the Israeli military have been engaged in a withering air and ground assault on areas of northern Gaza, including Jabalia, saying they are seeking to stop Hamas militants from regrouping there. Russia and Ukraine have carried out their largest drone attack against each other since the start of the war. Russia's defense ministry says intercepted 84 Ukraine drones over 6 regions, including some approaching Moscow, which forced flights to be diverted from 3 of the capital's major airports. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched 145 drones towards every part of the country, with most shut down. The barracks came amid expectation that U.S. President-elect Donald Trump may put pressure on both sides to end the conflict. Chad has accused Sudan of arming and financing rebel groups on Chadian territory with the aim of destabilizing its neighbor. Chad claims Sudan is aiding a rebellion by members of the Zanghoa ethnic groups operating of southern Sudan's El Farka region. The Zanghoa rebels based in Sudan are led by Osman Dilo, the younger brother of Chadian opposition leader Yahya Dili-Rajo, who was killed by Chadian military forces earlier this year. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has appointed U.S.-born Yair Lapid, an official who previously served as chief of staff in the finance ministry, as the next Israel ambassador to the United States. Netanyahu said in a statement that Yair Lapid is a highly capable diplomat, an eloquent speaker, and possesses a deep understanding of American culture and politics. This appointment came 3 days after Donald Trump's election to a second term as U.S. president, celebrated by many Israelis because of his strong support for Israel. Over now to sports. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has told Edo Queens and the other 8 teams that are participating in the African Women's Champion League would kick off this weekend, and they stand to get a princely sum of $600,000 if they win the competition. The CAF Women's Champions League is a competition that started by current CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe in 2021, and this year's prize money has increased by 52% to $2,350,000. The terms varying for the CAF's Premier Women's Club title alongside Edo Queens and defending champions Malalozi, downstream of South African University of Western Cape, also South African Asper of Morocco, FC Mercer of Egypt, Angels de la Medine of Senegal, TP Nzampe of DR Congo, and CBE of Ethiopia. Nigerian internationals Ademola Lookman, Maduka Okoye will face off in a crucial Serie A clash as road-hot Atalanta hosts smuggling Udinese in the game week 12 fixture at the Kerry Stadium in Bergamo. The encounter will pitch Lookman, who has been in form of the 8 goals this season, against Super Eagles goalkeeper Okoye, who is looking to bounce back from a disappointing from his goal in Udinese's 2-0 loss to Juventus last weekend. Lookman held into the match brimming with confidence after scoring in Atalanta's impressive 2-0 Champions League victory over Stuttgart at the Mercedes-Benz Arena on Wednesday. The 27-year-old forward have been instrumental to La Lidine's recent surge, which has been them unbeaten in their last 9 games, winning 7 and drowning 2. And that's it's as we end the Global TV AM News. Let's take a quick look at our top stories again. Brought to you that President Tinubu has arrived in Sudan, Arabia for joint Arab-Islamic summit. In business, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has introduced mobile app to curb airline delays, protect passengers. On our foreign news, Sudan envoy has sought Nigerian and ECOWAS support to end crisis. Moscow have been targeted as Ukraine-Russia trade drone attack. And in sports, CAF challenges Edo Queens and other teams to win African Women's Champion League and get $600,000. And that's it on AM News, and it came to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365, on StarTimes channel 276, and free to air on Nicomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good morning.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.